I turned my ROG Xbox Ally X into an Xbox Series X, but hidden inside is a level of power that Microsoft would probably never give you. A full-on dedicated GPU that transforms this handheld into a desktop powerhouse. If you're new here, hey, I'm Coulter, and on this channel we cover everything from retro tech to gaming tech and doing extremely unnecessary things with said tech, like you're gonna see today. So if that sounds like you, be sure to subscribe below so you catch all the future weirdness we're gonna get up to. Now first, I know what you're thinking. Coulter, why would you spend weeks designing and printing a giant plastic Xbox just to dock your Ally? And honestly, because I wanted to see if I could. Plus, how sick would it be to have an on-brand, borderline official-looking Xbox dock for your Ally? Let alone one that can rock an eGPU inside. And that was basically my original goal, was to try and create something that looks like it would have come straight out of this weird Microsoft-Asus partnership, but I actually ended up with some pretty wild performance. But first, designing this thing. So, the first thing I had to do was to find a good base model to work with. And funny enough, the best starter model I found was this model on Thingiverse that someone created with the intent of holding a pop can. But that was no matter because once I threw that in Fusion 360, it was able to be blown up just fine. Next up, lots of measurements. So the first thing was to measure the AliExpress eGPU dock that I have here, as well as the width and buffer depth of the Ally, and of course the length of the card. And speaking of the card, the GPU I went with here is an RTX 3060 Ti for a couple of reasons. First off, you can get them at a really solid deal right now, obviously, especially in the secondhand market. I got this one for less than half the price of a 5070. Reason number two is it still delivers very respectable 1440p performance. And reason three is I figured it would pair well with the Z2 Extreme CPU without leaving a lot of GPU power on the table. For example, a 5090 would have been extreme overkill and we would have been bottlenecking at the CPU super hard. Plus, who got money for a 5090? Like, this channel ain't that big yet. So once I had my measurements, I started digitally cutting into the model. So the first thing I did was just to delete the fake disk drive slot and eject button, mostly because with the Xbox Series X laid on its side, I wanted to make sure to make room for the Ally cutout without the remaining elements on the face of it to look weird. So with that gone, then I created the Ally cutout, which is just a big rectangular cube chunk taken out of the front top, and then I created some few millimeters thick walls around that so that we wouldn't be seeing into the shell. The trick with creating those walls was trying to make it so that the back wall that's gonna be behind the Ally wouldn't be sitting directly on the GPU once it's in there. And honestly, I had to go on a bit of a prayer there because I really didn't want the GPU to thermal throttle instantly and suffocate it in there. But I also didn't want to make this thing frickin-enormous, so it was quite a guessing game. For the actual docking cradle, I found this sick stand that someone made specifically for the ROG Xbox Ally X, which by the way, you worked real fast on that, so kudos, because I found this in like the first week I owned the ROG Xbox Ally X. And they even added some really cool Xbox ROG branding on it. And so I grabbed that model and then just merged it into my model. And then so that the overall Ally cutout didn't have to take up too much of the inner space of the shell, I added this little rounded off lip to the front of it so that I could inch the stand out a little bit and leave enough room so that the Ally would be able to tilt back without hitting its head on the back of the cutout. With that in place, I then made this little rounded off square hole behind the Ally so that cables could pass through, such as for the very important Thunderbolt 4 cable. And then around the side of the shell, I created a big notch that roughly matched the size of the back of the eGPU. That way it would have a little more ventilation, easy access to its USB-C Thunderbolt 4 port, and of course access to all the I/O on the GPU. And then I added a little bonus notch next to that so that the Thunderbolt 4 cable could go out and back in, which I admit wasn't the cleanest design decision, but I valued having all the eGPU available at the far end more. As far as ventilation for the ATX power supply that works with this AliExpress eGPU, I actually lucked out in that it ended up being sat right next to the ventilation holes of the original Xbox Series X model itself, except that the unfortunate thing is I totally forgot to extrude those holes in Fusion 360, and so they printed out as filled in fake holes. And so I had the joy of drilling out like 80 holes with a 1/2-inch drill bit, but thankfully it doesn't appear to have affected the aesthetic of the print too much. And most importantly, the PSU was indeed able to breathe. But yeah, that was a tedious amount of drilling. After that, all that was left to do was to just round off some corners and digitally test fit things like the Xbox button and the lid to make sure that when I printed them, it would indeed go on. And now all I had to do was print it, which is the easy part, right? Right? Well, here's where things got a little bit interesting. So the resulting model ended up being a fraction of a millimeter. And I mean a fraction of a millimeter too big for me to be able to print it in like 2 chunks on my Bamboo A1 and call it a day. Now, yes, I could have shrunk it by that fraction of a millimeter and got it to print, but if you recall, I've already been dealing with millimeter buffer dimensions this whole time, and so I didn't want to spend like $50 of filament to have this whole thing print out just for it to not allow the eGPU to slide in, or for the GPU fans to be getting stopped up because it's hitting the wall. And so I accepted that reality, and I decided to slice it 8 ways in Bamboo's slicing program, and then I just digitally added all the little dowel holes kind of thing they let you do to hopefully make reassembly a little bit easier and stronger. And so, okay, the thing is sliced and doweled and ready to print, and so the printing should be easy now, right? Well, yes, but it took a freaking long time. We're talking at the shortest pieces taking 6 hours, and at the longest pieces taking 21 hours, mostly because of all the complexity that was going on with all the little holes and intricacies in the design. The lid alone, because it had to be sliced 4 ways, I had to print them all vertically, but then it's full of holes, and so it had to have the supports regularly interweaving throughout every hole, and just every little different part that the printer has to address while it's on a single layer adds a lot of time complexity. If you just build a cube, it just goes cube, but it's got like, 20 to 50 different hotspots to hit on each layer. And so, yeah, this took longer to print than my full freaking Stormtrooper helmet over here off camera. And this is an adult-sized Stormtrooper helmet, so yeah, I forgot the point I was making, but I'm wearing this now, so that's cool. Does my hair look amazing now? It's so hard to fix your hair when it's not a mirrored image. But finally, it was assembly time. And so after removing all the little tree supports and scooping out any of the little filled details in the model, it was then the process of pop in a dowel or 2, apply a generous amount of super glue, and then hold it tight until it seemed to be ready to go out into the world on its own. I definitely didn't try to use every little dowel hole that I created, especially because given that these all printed at somewhat different angles and orientations on the print bed, they didn't all print at the exact same right angles that they should have. It printed pretty close, but to save myself some heartache, I would just pick like a couple of key dowel holes, and then I would super glue it, and then kind of choose the orientation that felt the best and then hold that super tight. And then the more pieces that I added and it worked around, then it kind of counterbalanced itself and everything ended up assembling just fine, albeit with a lot of strong arming help for about 10 minutes while I watched Gilmore Girls. But finally, after a full week of printing and assembling and drying and gluing, it was complete. And honestly, I think it turned out pretty darn good. The Xbox logo, the fake USB ports, the fake HDMI ports, all the holes in the lid and the back and the base, how the lid does indeed fit and can be removed and put back on. So yeah, thankfully, not a massive waste of filament. But speaking of filament, this did probably cost me about $100 Canadian in PLA plus filament, so I'm pretty glad the print turned out, otherwise that would have been a nice little lesson in 3D modeling I had to pay for. The alternative to taking that big old risk on using my own filament and printer and overall skill level would have been to use someone like PCBWay, who's actually the sponsor of today's video. If you've ever wanted to bring your own idea or design to life, PCBWay has a ton of services to make that happen. From CNC machining to 3D printing to injection molding to circuit board printing. Basically, if you can design it and it's for a cool maker thing, they can manufacture it. They even just did a super cool custom CNC job of aluminum for Macho Nacho's original Xbox prototype video that he recreated. Fantastic video, awesome creator. Shout out to Macho Nacho, by the way. And right now they're running their big Christmas sale where you can save up to 50% off various services, as well as discounts on parts and materials, and even some free upgrades. So be sure to check out the PCBWay Christmas sale now while it's on, and thanks again PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Now back to seeing if this thing actually works. So this little AliExpress eGPU is really not that complicated. The little 2 sheets of metal just screw together, and then you screw in your ATX power supply. Actually, first you plug in the 24-pin power connector, then screw in the power supply. Very hard to plug it in once that PSU is in place. Then slot in your GPU, screw it in, plug in the PCIe power connector if you need to, and the thing's all good to go. Which feels a little weird given how mystical an eGPU felt when I bought my Razer Core back in like 2016, and I thought that would like change how I did mobile and desktop gaming forever, but I digress. So with it all assembled, all I had to do was pop off the lid and slide it to the back. And for a few reasons, I didn't really worry about creating like a couple of pass-through screw holes so that you could maybe screw through the back of the shell and into the power supply or something like that, try and keep the eGPU more properly in place. maybe that's a V2 thing. So for now, a good old command strip, Velcro strip will hold it in place just to keep it from wiggling around. Then I just had to give power to the PSU, plug the graphics card into my portable monitor, run the Thunderbolt 4 cable out and through the little notch and up toward the Ally stand, and then the moment of truth, will the ROG Xbox Ally X actually fit into this monstrosity I've created for it? And thankfully it did. It fit totally fine, plunked it in there, plugged in the Thunderbolt 4 cable, to which I was greeted with nothing. Nothing happened at all, alarmingly so. So I immediately went into troubleshooting mode. I checked to see if the little portable monitor was on the right input, and okay, that's not the issue. I was unplugging and replugging various cables, trying to trigger a handshake. I installed the Thunderbolt management app from the Windows Store, thinking that maybe that was a required piece of the pie to be able to let the Ally communicate over the Thunderbolt 4 port. I was already in regular desktop mode, not in the Xbox full screen experience mode, just to make sure I could see all the little pop-ups or whatever. Like, I remember having to maybe approve Thunderbolt devices, but maybe that's an Intel thing. And it's times like these where you spent a whole week leading up to this moment that you start to question your sanity and time management skills. So I kind of rage quit and just like walked away and got a snack. And I came back and all of a sudden it was showing up on the monitor just fine. So I guess it was quietly installing some kind of driver or something in the background, but it was very much not communicative about that. But yeah, then I could go into the display settings and change the resolution and just switch between mirror to extend to only show on 2 and all that good stuff. So moved right along to installing the NVIDIA app and getting those GTX, whoa, I sound old, RTX 3060 Ti drivers installed, and thankfully the 3060 Ti showed up just fine in Task Manager. So I paired up an Xbox controller via Bluetooth, cranked the TDP to the 35-watt turbo profile, of course, dock mode, of course, set it to display only on the external display, just to make sure I wasn't accidentally making it use the Z to Extreme instead of the external GPU. And now it's time to see how this thing performs, and yeah, pretty good. In Cyberpunk, at medium settings, at 1440p, no upscaling, no ray tracing, no FSR, we went from an average of 25 FPS and a min of 20 on the Z2 Extreme to an average of 53 FPS and a min of 44 with the 3060 Ti over Thunderbolt. Which, yeah, if my math is correct, is like 110% improvement. Personally, I kind of hate using percentages as improvements because if a thing doubles or more than doubles, then it's like the 100 and something percent. I don't know, it just feels like it's a good way to inflate it, but basically, yeah, FPS doubled, or more than doubled, which is huge. I don't have the comparative 1440p Red Dead Redemption 2 benchmarks from just the Z2 Extreme, but in the eGPU setup, we got an average of 50 FPS at 1440p, medium settings, no upscaling, no all that good stuff, and a min of about 32 FPS, so pretty darn good. And so especially if you wanted to target 1080 and then upscale to 4K, or utilize FrameGen, or just the various optimizations that are available that I chose not to, because as you guys might know on this channel by now, I try to give you raw frames, not made up frames like a lot of other people do. If you prefer the fake frames and want those stats instead, let me know in the comments. But yeah, if you want to leverage those optimization features, we could pretty feasibly hit a 4K 60 console-like experience with this crazy docking setup. Or if your goal isn't to recreate console gaming and you just want a pretty solid desktop gaming experience, like yeah, the Ally plus an eGPU, like this is better than half the gaming PCs I've owned in my lifetime. So curious to know in the comments if this is your guys' kind of flavor of things, or if eGPUs are just a no-no for you. But as cool as that is, and as fun as it was to design and print and assemble and play with this thing, at the end of the day, this thing is massive. Like obviously it's a bit bigger than an actual Xbox Series X because that is not a regulation-sized HDMI port, my friends. And I honestly don't even have anywhere in the house that really makes sense to store this or pull it out for use later. And the only solution I can think of is if someone watching this video would like to own this little piece of Coulter Peterson channel history, assuming that's something that anyone wants. And so my plan, at least at the time of this filming, is to throw it up on my store, which I haven't talked about in a very long time, but Coulter.store is a thing. It's got some pretty cool t-shirt designs that I came up with. I think it's got like a hat and some desk mats and some cool stuff like that. So if that's your vibe, feel free to check it out at Coulter.store. But I'll pop this guy on there, and it's probably not gonna be the cheapest, especially with shipping and all that. But if it's vibing with you and you want this one-of-a-kind piece of homemade art, then I'd be happy to bless you with it for the low, low price of whatever I list it for on the store. Note that you will need to source your own eGPU graphics card and of course ROG Xbox Ally X. It's just the plastic that this includes. So that's the Xbox Ally dock that Microsoft did not make and almost certainly never will. But if you enjoyed this video and stuck around this long, go ahead and drop a controller emoji in the comments if you'd actually buy or use this setup, or go ahead and drop a skull and crossbones emoji if you think I've completely lost my mind and this is a waste of time of filament, money, and everything. And if you want to see more about turning the ROG Xbox Ally X into more of a console-feeling device, maybe go ahead and check out this video where I installed SteamOS or one of its variants on it, and yeah, Windows definitely is still a problem.